welcome John Parlas to the stage. He will be talking about Chromebooks and the Chromebook coding with Chromebooks. John is a teacher of physics and IT e-learning leader from Mount Lilydale Mercy College. He likes playing with microbits, Raspberry Pis, maker stuff generally. Also is a beer brewer and also likes concise bios. So, John, please tell us about Chromebooks.
Thank you. This talks about our journey. We had a problem, we needed to solve it, and this is what we did. So if you're faced with a similar situation, you may find inspiration in what we did and realise that you work hard enough, you'll get there. A little bit about my school. Co-educational, it's Catholic, around about 1,500 students. There's a vineyard on site. There's a farm, and every year there's a vintage of red wine that they produce. They show the animals at the show, so it's quite an interesting place to work. We're also a Google School, G Suite for Education, and Chromebooks are at 7 and 8. MacBooks 9 and 10, and in terms of our IT classes, Year 7, they only do one semester, and it's a maximum of 20 hours. And in that 20 hours, they do probably 5 hours of coding. And that's used to be Scratch. We've moved on now, and we're trying to implement Python. And Year 8, there's no IT classes at all. Then Year 7, Years 9 to 12, we have the standard electives. Now, our problem was the Victorian curriculum. It came in and said there's digital technologies and you need to teach explicit IT content, especially coding. We were okay in Year 7 because we had that small period of time to do that, but in Year 8, we didn't have anything. So we had to, that was our problem. How do we integrate the digital technologies curriculum into Year 8? So we hit 4 subject areas: textiles, humanities, science, and what I'm talking about today is maths. And we chose to teach digital technologies, a particular aspect of it, in the maths class. Science do something else, humanities do something else, and so do the textiles class. With the curriculum, there's these content descriptors, and that was a content descriptor which we targeted to do in the maths class. And within that, there's several elaborations, and you look at those elaborations and say, yep, this is what I can do. So when you look at that, develop and modify digital solutions by implementing instructions contained in algorithms using a programming language. I just read that as create some code, and you solve a problem. Developing a digital game that manipulates models of real-world objects, programming a robot and so forth. So we went through the curriculum and said, that's what we need to do, let's code. Which other area in the school can do that? And we picked on maths, because there was an area in there which they had to calculate areas of rectangles, circles, and so forth. After that, it was which programming language? And I don't need to tell you people why Python, but we chose Python because it's just easy. It really is. Easy for beginners. And one of the humanities teachers said it right. He said, you use Python and straight away the kids get a feeling of success because it works. Even if they just print something out, print hello, bang, it works, success. And a lot of the kids had success straight away in the maths and the IT part when they hadn't had success anywhere else. And they thought, great, and they went on with it. We didn't do Scratch because their expectation is in the Victorian curriculum, that's at Year 6 level in primary school. So in Year 7, they've got to start doing a text-based language. We also like Python because it's flexible. You can use it, Raspberry Pi, physical computing, microbit, physical computing, and then later on in Years 9 and 10, do some object work with it. So it's versatile in that regard as well. These are our requirements, just the main ones. Had to work in a browser. Chromebooks just don't allow you to install anything. And I think now Google are stopping that anyway. They're not letting you install apps, or they're getting rid of apps, and there's some other way of running it, I don't know. So we had limitations of the software, the screen size, processing power. It also needed to be available off-site. There's no point creating a situation where the only time kids can do some coding is at school. So again, they needed to do it off-site and be able to do their work. Simple, number one. If it's not simple, forget it. That's the way I look at things all the time. And it has to be easy. We've got different levels of confidence of teachers and staff and students, varying degrees of success with IT. So it had to be simple and easy. And we wanted graphics and text in one place. I didn't want to use a piece of software that wouldn't allow me to do that. And when we were doing the investigating, we found a few online sites which just wouldn't do it. There was issues. What did we decide on? Trinket. You've already heard about it today, and just as a tip, to make the free version of Trinket run in Python 3, just put in that little bit of code there, and it will run it in Python 3 mode, so you won't have to pay for it. We tried lots of different systems. My preferred option was the Jupyter Hub and Jupyter Notebooks. They're just brilliant. They really are. And I just couldn't do it because I'm just not that good at getting these things up and running. We needed to do it on a budget of $0, so Trinket worked out. I probably could have run Jupyter Hub and Notebooks on a paid subscription service, but we just couldn't do it. Being able to break code up into little segments and run it in a small applet, like you do in Jupyter Notebook, was just superb. These other couple of websites there, they're good, but they just didn't suit our purpose. The coding with Chrome app is also good, it just doesn't suit, and I think, as I said earlier, I think Google's stopping that ability to install apps, or it's phasing it out or something. So I didn't want to start with something that didn't go anywhere. And Grok Learning, they've actually got something for, I think it's Year 7 maths, and we were targeting Year 8, and so that's why we didn't go there. But Grok Learning is great to extend the kids and give them challenges to do. This is one of those websites which couldn't display or couldn't run both Turtle and text at the same time. It just came up and gave me an error, a blank screen. So I had this particular script. That's what I wanted the kids to be able to do, something along these lines. And I ran that through several different websites. Nothing happened until you got to Trinket. And then you can get your circle drawn and text written on it and an output provided all in the one space. Now that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Kids can then draw their squares, draw their triangles, draw their circles, and write about it at the same time. And just earlier today, I thought, how would it look on the phone? So I tried it on the phone, and it actually works on your phone as well. It's not ideal, but some of these kids have got a phone that's twice the size of my phone, so they might actually be able to work quite successfully on it. Who knows? But it's worth having a look. These are some sample trinkets I've put up for you to have a look at. If you want to copy down those URLs, or I'll just go to them anyway and talk a little bit about them as to how we went about it. Circle area, what does this one mean? All right, let's run it. Down here, enter the radius of a circle. This is the sort of thing we expected our kids to do, and it will do it all in one, in the Chromebook, and it just works. Asking the kids to comment their code, to demonstrate their understanding of what was going on. With Trinket as well, you could ask it to fire up and present the instructions straight away. So you could give them some theory work on conditionals, for instance, or you can give them problems like this one where, hey, look, there's a logic error, go through, fix it, and show us what the issue is. So they're just some examples of how Trinket looks. You don't need to sign up. You can if you wish. A lot of the kids did it anyway because we're a Google school and Trinket's got to sign in with your Google button. All the kids just pressed it and went in. So I surveyed the kids afterwards and asked them how much effort they put into their work. And they were honest. And a lot of them said, yep, we tried. I don't find kids an issue. They're the ones who hold things back. You know what the answer is. Then I asked them about their maths skill before and after the topic that we did. And a lot of them said they learned maths while doing it, and that was a key thing. If we couldn't get the kids to learn their maths at the same time as learning their digital technologies curriculum, it was a failure. So I look at that and I think at least the kids know that they're learning some maths at the same time as learning some code. And this was their Python skill and knowledge. A lot of them had zero skill in Python. And at the end of it, it's pleasing to see that a lot of them thought they were actually good at Python. And there's still some of them who don't know anything about it. But that's okay. They're kids. They're allowed to. Whether they enjoyed it or not. And again, if you look at one end of it, wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. And in terms of level of difficulty, it seemed to be accessible to them. And they were able to do the work and get some success out of it. And then I thought I'd ask them, you know, what would you do next? What would you like us to do next time we do it? And it's really good to see that some of them said nothing, don't change anything. Others said less coding, you know. Others said less maths. That's what I love about teaching kids. They're just straight up and down. But the biggest thing was make it clearer. And that's our fault. That's just the way we did it. One of the staff members produced some work and it was follow the instructions and type it into your computer. A lot of the kids just couldn't read it, didn't understand it, just wasn't clear. They didn't know why they were doing it. They just needed to be put into context for them. So articulate the purpose, provide better worksheets for us next time, making sure that there's probably more visuals on there for them, and provide alternate resources. You know, say to them, go to the Grok Learning and do some of the challenges there, or the ACA, or there's other websites out there that provide resources for them to learn on their own or provide some challenges. The other things that attracted my attention were more activities in different area. The kids said they liked it, but it's probably a little bit repetitive for them. You know, how many times do we have to calculate the area of something? And that's where putting it into context is so important, and giving them a chance to apply it elsewhere. Is it financial tasks? You know, the payroll generator, or how much pay they're going to get from their part-time job. Farm-related. Our kids, there's a lot of kids come out from farms and you know, they've got to do work in the morning before they get to school. Is it farm-related stuff? You know, what's the area of the field that they have to do to fence? I went on an excursion with the kids and they did some wearable technologies exercise, and they had to create some device that'll measure and help someone or something. So these kids, they show animals, particularly cows. So what their solution was to put a temperature sensor and a heart monitor on the cow, and apparently when a cow's under stress, its temperature changes, which probably happens to us anyway, and then that was fed back wirelessly to them on a device, and they could read it and indicate when the cow was under stress when it was showing at this show. You know, and that's important to them, and I think it's great. You know, maybe we should have done something along those lines to help relate it more to what their interests are. Our vineyard, you know, why don't they go out there and measure the diameter and circumference of the grapes and maybe take sugar readings and record it and then do some calculations with it. Sports, weather, we've got a weather station on our building, and it's got 5 years of weather data. I don't need to go out and pull it from the bureau. I get it right there and then. We've just got solar energy panels. Again, we could just go and pull that data off. So it's context. We've got to change it, and maybe, yeah, we tick the box and say we can do calculations of area, but I think we need to do a little bit more with it to engage them a little bit more. These are my challenges that we had. And number one, I think Linda said at the start, it's teacher confidence. When we first introduced this topic to them, we showed them what it can do and what it was at. A lot of them said, yeah, it looks like logo. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we did that at uni. That's good. And unfortunately, that was about as much preparation as they did. They thought they could go in there and just pick it up, and they just can't. They can't. As simple as it is, you've got to do more work. And we provided weekly workshops. I was available every Wednesday to help. I think I got one person, you know, turning up over a 10-week period or so. In-class support. It was myself and another couple of people who were willing to go in and help. Well, we didn't go in to help. We ended up going in there to teach the subject, because often the teacher will just sit back, say, thank God you're here, go for it. So it's that confidence, and we're trying to get around that this next time by providing a full-day PD with someone other than myself to teach them. And hopefully that'll give them a little bit more ownership. The resources was a really contentious issue. A lot of the staff thought that I just needed to give them something and off they go. Other staff thought, no, we need to do it, and that way we get ownership, and you know, we'll know what we're doing. So that's still an issue. Still not sure how we get around that. Hopefully with this full-day PD we do, people walk away and have a little bit more ownership about it. But as it was, one person created the resources and everyone else used that same resource. And it was basically, oh yeah, let's just follow the instructions. We just need to do a better job. But in all of that, there's no technical difficulties. The Chromebook and the Python in the web browser, no technical difficulties. It just works, which is just superb, absolutely superb. Challenges from the student perspective. Reading. They can't, well, I can't either. I can't read from a screen and then type in another one. We thought initially we'll just put our resources online, and so they can read it and then open up another tab and then start typing. Can't do it. One, our screen size is only 11 inch, and two, kids have difficulty reading and typing, and three, they just started a copy and paste, which defeats the purpose. So that's why we printed out those documents. And then error messages. Whenever they did get an error, they wouldn't read it. They just said, what's wrong? Did you read it? No. Well, have a read. And once they start reading and seeing an error message and then seeing more of them, they can then work it out, but they just don't read. And then spelling. Spelling, it just needs to improve across the board. Syntax errors, you know, just doesn't stop. Ultimately, this is what we're hoping to do, help these students become confident learners using digital systems and use this computational thinking in all subject areas, not just maths. That's why we're trying to implement it in science and humanities and textiles. So that's our story. Hopefully you can learn something from it, and happy to take questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. Questions?
Sorry, you may have answered this already, but I'm curious because I seem to remember at the beginning you explained to us that you had that problem with Chromebooks because it was years 7 and 8, and then the students used, I think, MacBooks after that.
Mm.
Did you have the students continue on with Trinket, or did they move on to other environments as they moved into later years?
This is our first year doing it. This is our first year doing it. I'm tempted to keep going, but yeah, I'm not sure yet. But when you look at Trinket, you can actually import lots of different modules. You can import the math module, turtle module. I think you can actually do some plotting as well. I'm not sure, but the random module. So you can actually do a fair bit in Trinket, and they're going to learn it in year 7, year 8. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. Not sure yet. I'll give it a go next year and see how it happens.
You talked about students having trouble with spelling and that producing syntax errors. I'm wondering how much of it is a lack of ability at spelling and how much is it a lack of keyboard skills?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think you're spot on. You see kids, even with their MacBooks or their Chromebooks, they're doing this all the time. They do not sit there and use 2 hands to type. They're using 2 fingers. And in our Year 7 IT classes, we do get them to practice typing. One of those online typing competitions, and they get certificates, and we encourage it constantly, but once it's finished, they go back to doing that. And it's their spelling, it's a combination, absolutely. Don't know how to fix the problem, just persist.
I'll ask a question. Related to that, have you had a conversation about general ICT capabilities with the other staff? The actual question I wanted to ask was, you talked about integrating with other subjects, with maths, and possibly with ag in the future. Do you have support from other teachers to try to integrate this into their subjects as well?
Yeah, some of the teachers are great, and they love picking up a new challenge. It's when you step out of a single teacher subject or 1 or 2 teachers in a subject area and you have to go into 10 teachers in a subject area that you feel that inertia and that resistance. But having said that, once people have seen what the students can achieve with this, they're actually quite positive about it, and they've actually chosen to do another topic area this year with Python. So that's really good, and that's why we've organised the full-day PD. But trying to improve their ICT capabilities is a massive challenge, and we constantly provide opportunities. Every term the school provides opportunities. Yeah, I just don't know how far we're going along with that, though.
I think you're facing that challenge along with every other school in Australia, so I feel like you're in good company. Any other questions? No. All right. Well, I will continue to ask you questions at lunch, but I think let's finish up there. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
I get to mug you again. Hooray! Congratulations, genuine, bona fide, speakers only PyCon mug. Thank you.